Hi guys, let's start the week off with one of my specials, and oh boy do I like my specials. This is Dazzie's Hot Comic Book Alerts, episode 112, because everybody on the planet has to know by now that news waits for no man. Oh, I'm excited. Let's get into it. What have I got for you? I've been watching The Titans at the moment, and the standout episode for me has to be the one about the Doom Patrol. What a wacky team. Bizarre, but full of fun. And with Doom Patrol premiering on the DC Universe this week, the misfit team of superheroes will be encountering the oddest characters that the extensive back catalogue of the DCU has to offer. I've just watched the trailer. If you haven't, go and see it. Oh my days, fantastic. While promoting the upcoming series at a Television Critics Association event this weekend, the DCU original series executive producer Jeremy Carver teased several of the characters that would appear over the course of the first season, with some of DC's most obscure, strangest characters mentioned. Among the characters mentioned by Carver were the Doom Patrol villain, the Beard Hunter. Oh, glorious title. The Beard Hunter. Sentient City Street. Danny the Street. Has to be one of my favourite characters. Love it. The electromagnetic superhero Lodestone, and Niles Corder's ex-wife Celsius. All four characters appeared in some capacity within Grant Morrison's acclaimed run on the title in the early 90s, itself a strong inspiration for the television series. And as one of the oddest superhero teams in the DCU, the first season of the series is looking to embrace the weird with characters so strange they give the main cast pause. Doom Patrol starring Timothy Dalton as the Chief, Brendan Fraser as Robot Man, Jovian Wade as Cyborg, April Bowlby as Elasti-Woman, Diane Guerrero as Crazy Jane, Alan Tudyk as Mr. Nobody, and Matt Bomer as Negative Man is scheduled to premiere on DC Universe on February the 15th. Now, of that episode from the Titans, only April Bowlby as Elasti-Woman is keeping her place, I believe. The rest have all been recast, which was a little strange. They wanted it to bring in the bigger names, such as Timothy Dalton and Brendan Fraser. So it's going to be great to see them back. So I've just given you food for thought there, guys. And that is 4 characters that are going to be coming in to the Doom Patrol. First up, we have the Beard Hunter. And this character here is the Beard Hunter. Oh my days, guys. Look at that legend. Fantastic. Old school. The Beard Hunter is a minor villain from DC Comics and perhaps one of the most bizarre, crazy and comical villains in the DC universe. He was an enemy of the Doom Patrol, enemy being used rather liberally as he was pretty much a pushover and served mostly as comic relief. I like the sound of this already. Despite his lack of success, questionable goals and utter failure at villainy, the Beard Hunter is, at least in theory, a dangerous individual and would be considered a mentally unstable psychotic if he were real. Of course he is not, and thus such comparisons are really only useful if you wish to get into a deep psychological debate. At any rate, let us begin the tale of one of DC's most obscure and honest-to-goodness real supervillains. Born with a hormone deficiency that prevented him from growing a beard, the young man, known as Ernest Franklin, grew resentful of beards and began a one-man war against facial hair, hunting down and killing unfortunate individuals and taking their beards as trophies. It doesn't get any better. He was still performing this gruesome and bizarre behavior when he was 36 and living at home with his mother. When not committing murder, he seemed obsessed with bodybuilding magazines. Dubbing himself the Beard Hunter, poor Ernest was delusional enough to believe a movie would be made about his career as the crazed villain, but this, of course, never occurred. Beard Hunter has 0 powers other than some limited skill with handguns. In fact, he was a poor fighter and relied heavily on his guns. Does it get any better, folks? I don't think it does. Anyway, this character first appeared in Volume 2 of the Doom Patrol. And the book in question we are after, guys, from the 1987 run. This issue is from 1991. Is Doom Patrol issue 45. This book here is the first appearance of Beard Hunter. I have just purchased this for as little as £2.45, I believe. They're cheap, guys. If you want a fun villain, get out there. Takes people's beards. Better look after mine. Up next is a character I've been specking on recently. And in fact, I picked up the book. Danny the Street is a fictional character in the DC universe. A living, sentient piece of urban geography who can magically and seamlessly place himself in any urban landscape at will without any disruption to the surrounding environment and freely interact with any other sapient being through various forms of visual printing he can generate at will in his proximity. He was created by Grant Morrison and Richard Case and first appeared in this comic, Doom Patrol, issue 35 from August of 1990. His name is a pun on female impersonator Danny LaRue, as LaRue is French for the street. So this comic, Doom Patrol, issue 35 from August of 1990, is your book to look out for Danny the Street. Now this is a brilliant book. It also has the first cameo appearance of Flex Mentallo, who I also believe will be appearing at some point in the show. And it also has the first appearance of the Men from Nowhere, an acronym-speaking absurdist purification corps group. Another one I feel sure will appear. I've read this book. It is beyond bizarre. Now Danny is an actual street, a sentient and sapient stretch of roadway. He has long served as a home and haven for the strange and dispossessed. A superhero of sorts, Danny does possess several superpowers, the most notable being teleportation. He is also able to integrate himself into a city's geography without causing any damage or disturbance. Roads and buildings simply make room for him. He does this mostly at night when no one is looking. Danny travels the globe and sometimes beyond, happily looking for folks in need of shelter and friendship. Thus, it is possible to turn a corner on the road to work and find oneself walking down Danny's pleasantly unfamiliar roadway. Danny is unusually flamboyant personality, having the mannerisms of an extremely camp homosexual male. Danny cross-dresses. Oh my days! His sidewalks are lined with typically masculine stores, e.g. gun shops and sporting goods stores, which are decorated with frilly pink curtains and lace. And while Danny cannot speak in any normal sense of the term, he communicates with his residents via such means as signs in windows, typewritten messages and letters formed out of manhole vapours or broken glass shards. He speaks English, heavily flavoured with Polari, a largely antiquated form of slang spoken among British subcultures, including some homosexuals. Bona Tuvada, good to see you, is his favourite way of greeting friends. His personality is based partially on British drag performer Danny LaRue. Danny is a kind, compassionate and slow to anger. If pushed past his considerable limits though, his wrath can be a terrible thing. Danny first came into contact with Doom Patrol when he and his residents were attacked by Darren Jones and the Men from Nowhere. Just spoke about them. Jones's obsession with normalcy and with enforcing his own 50s sitcom worldwide view made Danny an obvious target. The struggle took Danny to downtown New York City, where the Doom Patrol investigated the disturbance. They worked hard to protect Danny and his residents, but it was ultimately the members of Danny the Street's Perpetual Cabaret that defeated Jones. Danny has been a home to many oddities. In addition to the Doom Patrol and Perpetual Cabaret, Danny housed Flex Mentallo, just spoke about him as well, protecting the oddball hero during a mental breakdown following his first and only failure. Danny was once able to teleport into the complicated city-like environment of the Pentagon. So there we go. Some history on Danny the Street. Glorious stuff. Next character I spoke about was Lodestone. Now, Lodestone is Rhea Jones. Rhea Jones, alias Lodestone, was a member of the Doom Patrol with control of the electromagnetic spectrum. sheer range of her powers made her an extremely formidable opponent, although this was tempered by her inexperience. She would later undergo a metamorphosis and turn into an entirely new form known as the pupa. As a young child, Rhea was left orphaned in a tragic accident. Her mother perished in a car crash while her father was on a classified operation for the United States Air Force. Sneaking onto a decommissioned base where he was engaged in a nuclear extraction, she was only barely in time to watch her father blown to bits by an electromagnetic blast, which she was caught in as well. And although it didn't kill her, she gained strange new powers from it and unlocked her metagene. Rhea found herself in control of the electromagnetic spectrum through a strange connection, which she could also use to coordinate super strength, invulnerability, and super agility, as well as a number of other magnetic constructs. Unfortunately, with no other home, she was subject to a number of tests and experiments performed upon her by military doctors. Eventually, she took the only escape she could find and used her powers to travel with a circus, becoming an informally trained acrobat. Eventually, Arani Desai heard of her abilities and invited her to join the second incarnation of the Doom Patrol, to become a fully fledged hero and hone her abilities. Okay, so the first appearance of Lodestone is roughly around about, on average, the £4 to £6 range, but there are ones you can bid on. And the book in question, from 1987, Doom Patrol Volume 2, Issue 3. This is your first appearance of Lodestone. Lodestone. Rhea Jones. And finally, Celsius is the superhero alias of Arani Desai. Just spoke about her. A fictional character in the DC Comics series. This is Celsius. I'll give you a little picture of Celsius. Look. There she is. She first appeared in Showcase 94. Told you I've been specking on these. Showcase 94 from September of 1977. I do love my Showcase books. And was created by Paul Kuppenberg and Joe Staton. She is among the very few superheroes of South Asian heritage and may be the first ever such hero created by DC Comics. It's interesting. Celsius was created for the new rebooted Doom Patrol, which debuted, like I said, in Showcase 94 to issues 96. Inspired by Len Wein and Dave Cockrum's The New X-Men, writer Paul Kuppenberg wanted to have some heroes of different nationalities in the group, and artist Joe Staton used photos from National Geographic articles about India as the model for Celsius. Arani Desai was born in India into a life of wealth and privilege, and her mother died while giving birth to her. She possessed an excellent intellect and athleticism. Arani ran away from her home after her father went insane. Life on the streets in Calcutta made her deathly ill. She was recruited by a young American, Dr. Niles Corder, the chief. He gave her immortality on their wedding and left her in the Himalayas while she tried to evade General Immortus. Arani waited and realized that the serum augmented her powerfully so that she could control her core temperature and project quantities of heat and cold. This ability, coupled with mysticism and monastery training, made her a formidable martial artist. So there we go. That is Celsius. Pretty cool list of characters I've just shown you. So let's recap, guys. First up, we have the Beard Hunter. A villain and a pretty pathetic one at that. Doom Patrol issue. Oh, that's the wrong book. Sorry, guys. We have Doom Patrol. Oh, that is the right one. Issue 45, the first Beard Hunter. We have Doom Patrol issue 35, the first Danny the Street. We have Doom Patrol issue number 3, the first Lodestone. And finally, we have Showcase issue 94 From 1977, the first appearance of Celsius. Pretty cool lineup of characters. And I think they're pretty cheap. For instance, I picked this one up for £2.30, the first Danny the Street and Flex Mentalo. I think you can get it still for around that price on eBay. Don't let me down, guys. Cheap spec is always fun spec, and it doesn't get much funner than these characters. That's Daz over and out. Bye for now.